Well, good morning, travelers. It's time to rise and shine. Straight from the highly caffeinated studio, this is According to Willie B., and I am your host for the next half hour, and welcome to August the 18th, 2025. Now, again, I can't help but mention that this year is just flying by. You realize we're only a couple of weeks away from being in what I term the Burr months, meaning September, October. You get the. I don't have to explain that, but we're headed into Halloween and Christmas, my friend. It's gonna be here before you know it. And I don't know if everybody's quite ready for it or not. And now we've got a hurricane off the coast staring us down here in North Carolina. Man, things are just getting crazy. But you know what? It's not quite as crazy here behind this mic in the studio. So let's talk about something to travel to, something maybe in the opposite direction of the hurricane. And where would that be? Well, I think a good place to start would be in Arizona. Now, I know you're thinking, what in the world is in Arizona? It's desert. Yeah, but they got that great big old ditch down there. I think they call it affectionately call it the Grand Canyon. Now you can call it a great big ditch if you want to, but it's like 177 miles long, and some spots are you miles wide. It's some places are over a mile deep. I think that's a little more than your average drainage ditch. But hey, it is what it is. But let's talk about it because there's a lot of stuff going on down there, and let's unpack it and talk about it. So first of all, if you've never been, know that there are two distinct areas of the Grand Canyon. One being the North Rim, and the other being, of course, the South Rim. I guess they decided not to do an east and west, but that's the two rims that you have. So the South Rim is more of your touristy type area. It has the skywalk. Now, I I'm gonna go ahead and just get that thing out of the way in the beginning. Now, I walked on it. It didn't really it didn't unnerve me, so to speak, but I can't help but think how the thing was designed, and it had to be designed by people way smarter than me because it's still standing, and thousands of people every day walk across that little horseshoe shaped glass bridge. And but it is some people that are afraid of heights will not walk out on that sky bridge. And I think it's interesting that they say that it was designed to hold 70 747 jet planes fully loaded without collapsing. I have to think that they probably did some mathematical equations on that they didn't take 70 airplanes and stack them up on that bridge just to see if it would hold. So I'm thinking that those smart people that designed it probably did some mathematicals and came up with, yeah, this thing would hold up 70 airplanes fully loaded. And we're not talking about little two-seater Cessnas. We're talking about fully loaded 740. Okay, I could keep going, but to look down through a glass floor and see 4,000 feet below, it definitely makes you think while you're walking on it. I can't lie about that. It didn't. I mean, I'm not. When I grew up, I was scared of heights. You couldn't get me above the second rung on a ladder. Um, I don't care if it was a step ladder. That was going up, and I just wasn't going up because I knew what happened if I fell. The going down part, it's not really the going down, as they say, the famous saying, it's not the falling that I fear, it's the landing. And yeah, I don't want to. I don't want somebody had to clean up that mess if I splatter. And but I don't know. I went through a period. Uh, I guess some people call it midlife, but it was probably in my 40s, and I just got to where I thought I was invincible. I went skydiving. I did this and did. I mean, I couldn't go high enough or fast enough. Well, as I got a little older, they say you get older and wiser. I know I've gotten older. Still working on the wiser part, but I'm going to tell you, I'm not so crazy about going higher and faster anymore. I want to live to see another day. So, I don't want to push the envelope, so to speak. I'm already pushing it just to wake up and see another day. You know what I mean? When I'm gifted another day each day when I wake up. I don't want to. I don't want to be pushing the envelope outside of that. So, but it doesn't really bother me. I'm not a huge fan of heights, but to walk on the bridge, I have faith in it, I guess. But it didn't bother me to walk across it and even stand on it and look over the edge. What I will tell you, speaking of looking over the edge, we had went out there with family, and I walked up to the edge, and because I'm talking about the edge of the Grand Canyon. No, there was no railing. There was nothing, just straight down. And I just wanted to see. I was curious, and so I stood what I thought was a safe couple of inches from the edge. My wife about had a panic attack, telling me to get away from the edge. I could see, because she said I could just see you just slipping on that loose gravel and then tumbling, I guess it would be a little difficult to come down there and get me. So I could understand her fear, but I just wanted to see. I wanted to see over the edge. I wanted to see what was down there, and really and truly, if you're curious about seeing what's in the bottom of the Grand Canyon, you can actually go down there, and you can get down there in multiple ways. You can go horseback riding. You can go hiking. No, thank you. You can go down by 4x4 Jeeps. They've got safari trucks. They've got guided tours with park rangers. I mean, there's no shortage of ways to get down there. And then you got the Colorado River down there. So if you're one of those brave souls that like those whitewater rapids, well, you just get on one of them little inflatable boats and knock yourself out. But I mean, there's just, for the outdoor enthusiast, there's really every kind of mode of transportation, literally horseback, donkey, helicopter. Again, no thank you on the helicopter. Sadly, the day we were there, we had actually talked about doing the helicopter tour because it kind of gave you a different perspective of the views of the Grand Canyon. So, although the monetary part of it, I'm trying to remember exactly how much it was. I think if you had a group of 6, it was about $80 or $90 a person. But the problem was it was really, really windy that day, and which is this kind of the mode for most days out there. But it was exceptionally windy that day, and there was a storm coming in, and so we decided, just like, you know what, that's a lot of money, and we got other things we want to go do, so we're going to skip the helicopter tour. So there were people that went in the store where you buy the tickets ahead of us, and it was probably a pretty fair line, probably 20 so people in line to get tickets for the helicopter. So I don't know which exactly group of people it was, but we assumed that day that it was one of the groups that were in that line at that time, because it was toward the end of we had been out there pretty much over half a day, and we were deciding that, hey, we're kind of done with this, and we still got an hour and a half drive back to the hotel, so let's go ahead and pack it in. And after we left, we started getting text messages on our phone asking if we were okay, and we found that a bit odd. Well, it was my stepson's birthday, his 21st birthday, and somebody else that had gotten on the helicopter ride, they had somebody in their group that was on their birthday, and because of the winds, the helicopter crashed and everybody on there perished. And it was just extremely just unnerving that we had talked about going on there. I mean, you never know. You have to take chances in life, and you have to not live your life in fear, I've always said. but I was very thankful that day that we had chose not to do that because of the way the weather was. But so they were already hearing it back home on the news that this group of people perished in a helicopter crash, and it was one of them's birthday. And so you can imagine the family back home, they were losing their minds. So I could see where that was, the similarities was a little bit much. So, it's I'm going to tell you, any time you travel, to me, this is what travel is about. It's about taking risk. It's about, because you're going to go places that you're not familiar with. You're going to wind up in places that maybe aren't the best place to be. Maybe it's not all that safe. That's why I always tell you to keep your wits about you. I mean, I try to say that nearly every podcast. Keep your wits about you. Somebody commented in an email maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago and said, "What are you talking about? Keep your wits about you." And this person was from the UK, and I thought, well, I guess I could see, some of our little sayings and slogans, especially in the South, don't exactly translate sometimes across the U.S., much less across the pond. So I explained to them kind of what I meant by, keep your wits about you. Just use your common sense. Don't be blindsided, so to speak. And they found it very humorous that was, and they're like, I'm going to start saying that. I'm like, I don't know if I would start repeating everything I say. They may question your sanity, as they do mine. But hey, whatever. I like bacon and I like burgers, and that's all anybody needs to know. So back to I'm getting off on a rabbit trail here. So, like I said, you could get to the Grand Canyon because it's part of the Grand Canyon National Park. Go figure that one. But there's also about 15 minutes away from the Grand Canyon, there is a place, since I've already brought up food, there is a place called the Grand Canyon Village. It's about, 10 to 15 minutes away. And there's all kind of a welcome center, gift shops, little touristy things to see and do. But there's also a lot of restaurants in that little village as well. And there's some that I think are definitely worth mentioning. They were definitely some of my favorites. One was Drigo's. It's kind of like your all-American cafe or restaurant. They've got a little bit of everything on the menu. I thought the food and service was absolutely on point. They didn't really they didn't really skimp on the quality or anything like that. I thought the quality was very good. I thought it was very fair priced, but the service was really on point. There's also a place, if you're looking for breakfast, because you know me, I got to have my bacon and eggs. There's a place called Harvey House Cafe. I thought the breakfast there was really good, and again, service was on point, which is important to me. Now, if you're looking for something, believe it or not, in the middle of the desert, I'm not sure how many cattle ranches are out there in the middle of the desert, but there is a steakhouse, and I love the creativity of this steakhouse and their porterhouse. Oh man, that thing was so good. Oh man, it was tender. I mean, almost like I thought I could eat the bone. The thing was so tender. But the name of the restaurant is called Yippee-Yi-Yo. That's right. I must spell it for you, as I always do, so you don't think I'm crazy, than I already am. Is Yippee, so there's your Yippee, I-E-I -O, with an exclamation mark. So Yippee-Yi-Yo Steakhouse. And so the creativity and the names on the food and dishes on the menu, I thought the menu to be a steakhouse was very creative. It wasn't your just run of the mill, okay, here's your ribeye, here's your baked potato, here's your salad. I mean, they were really creative behind their menu. I thought the food was absolutely exceptional, as was the service. So those are three choices there in the Grand Canyon Village that I would definitely tell you to go check out. And that's Drigos, Drigos, restaurant, and then Harvey House Cafe for breakfast or lunch. They had some really nice looking sandwiches on the menu. I would have, because you know me and sandwiches, I like my sandwiches. But then if you want to treat yourself to a steak, definitely check out the Yippee Steakhouse. I mean, it's fun to even say, you know what I mean? When I go out to eat, I want an experience, and I like it if the experience is all the way from the sign out in the parking lot. So, that's just me. But like I said, they've got gift shops, so you cannot walk away from the Grand Canyon area without at least a windbreaker from the Grand Canyon, the T-shirts, hats, poncho if it's raining that day. I mean, they got it all. But it's just the Grand Canyon is just such a massive marvel to view and take in. So if you've never, and there's also another way, and I'm going to mention this, and it's not it's not for the budget friendly. Let me put it that way. It's a train that goes throughout the Grand Canyon, and it's like an 11 or 12-hour train ride, but it's really nice luxury trains. But understand what I'm about to tell you is that the cost is, not for the budget, trying to take out an entire family to go see the Grand Canyon, because it's $350 a person. So you got 6 kids, 2 wives, 4 husbands, and you want to try to take everybody on that trip, you're going to break the bank. Just had to lay that out there for you. But it is a really cool trip. I have not taken it. I have looked at it multiple times and considered it. And I'm not saying that maybe someday I might not go take that trip. It's just one of those things that's unfortunately at the bottom of my list right now. But I think it's really cool. If you go to their website, Grand Canyon Railway, it looks like and the tour guides that they have on the trains, they do like a narrative as they go along. So it's just super cool. And there's some stops along the way. And they tell you all about the things that you're seeing. So you really get kind of an immersive experience by doing that. So that is, to me, that's something that you would definitely put on. If you have, let's say maybe you're on your honeymoon or anniversary or something like that, that would be totally cool for that. That's why I said I could still see myself going back and doing it. My wife and I talked about it several times. But I will say, when you go to the Grand Canyon, now there's a ton of different lookout points, but there is one in particular that I want to tell you about. It was my personal, absolute, hands down, phenomenal ability, if that's even a word, thing you cannot miss. It has to be like a bucket list thing to see while you're there. And it's called the Overlook at Mather Point, Mather, Mather. You can see, on a good clear day, you can see up to 60 miles. That is a long, long way to see in the distance. Because even on a good clear day with my vision and my glasses, I can even see across the street. So to be able to see 60 miles in the distance, I could even see what I'm going to have for lunch next week. I kind of already know, but I can see things. It's almost like you can see the future because you're seeing 60 miles in the distance, but it's just so cool. Because you got the Colorado River down there. I mean, so, there's fishing, and it's just, if you're an outdoor enthusiast, and I mentioned the hiking trails, and there's I know of 12 just that I personally know of, different hiking trails, and they're all different skill levels. So my skill level was on that glass walkway. That was my skill level. But there are some of the more intense skill level hiking trails that you better have a steady foot, because it's going to be a rocky terrain. It's going to be up and down. Even with the guide, it's going to be some tough some tough walking. Whatever sights you're going to see while you're on that particular trail, you're going to earn it. Let me tell you. But, I just think the Grand Canyon is so cool. And I think it's one of the most, I've always noticed, like when I talk to people about the Grand Canyon, they seem to, oh, yeah, I seen the Grand Canyon. Yeah, it's cool, and they just kind of like nonchalant. But, you know, to me, just seeing the Grand Canyon is just, it's so impressive. Just to see the rock formations and stuff that was cut through there just by a river. It's absolutely and over just so a lot of years, way older than I am. But wow, can you just imagine how that through the years how that's been formed and it's just now. Let me tell you, if you're wanting to know about what dangers there are, don't walk up to the edge. That's not a smart thing to do. There is loose gravel. You could lose your footing, and it only takes one slip, and you're done. And I'm being totally serious on that. The other things, make sure you watch out for rattlesnakes because they got them. And I do not care for a nope rope of any kind. The only thing that resembles a snake that I have no problem touching is an earthworm when I'm going fishing. Other than that, anything bigger than or more whatever than an earthworm, nah, not touching it, not getting close to it. And they say, oh, but that's a good snake. Okay, yeah, I'm going to take your word for it, but it's still a nope rope. I'm not touching it, not getting anywhere near it. But that's just me. But like I said, you can get to the Grand Canyon by bus. You can get there. There's so anywhere you basically once you enter into the Arizona state line, inside the state line, you're going to find bus tours, Jeep tour. You will find so much transportation that will take you to the Grand Canyon. And I think that's really cool because obviously Arizona as a state realizes what they have in having the Grand Canyon, and they realize how impressive it is to see and experience. Now, don't get me wrong, they're making money off of it. So of course they're, they formed Arizona and they're like, hey man, we got this great big ditch. There's gotta be a way we can make money off of this thing because otherwise all we got is desert and rocks. But so, it is what it is, but I think it's really impressive. I think it's worth. I wouldn't be here in the studio telling you about the Grand Canyon if I didn't think it was that impressive. But it was definitely on my to-do list. I've seen it multiple times, and if somebody said, "Hey, let's go to the Grand Canyon," I better, "Hey, let's go. I'd like to see it again." And yes, I will stay away from the edge. Because I don't, I want to make sure that I can come right back here again next week and talk to you about what happened the last week. I will tell you, we head out for Florida in the morning, and I do have something really special that I found outside of Gainesville. It's about an hour drive, but I'm so looking forward to it, and I am so looking forward to telling you guys about it next week. I'm going to give you a hint. If you like that little animal they call a manatee, you're going to like next week's episode. I found something so cool, and I cannot wait to experience it, and I can't wait to come right back here and tell you about it, right here from the highly caffeinated studio. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate you listening so much. Our listener base has continued to grow, and I'm just incredibly humbled. I never dreamed in a million years that this would have taken off the way it has. Culinary Highway, the same thing. I went ahead and set up a Facebook page for Culinary Highway a couple of weeks ago. And I mean, it's barely been up for less than 3 weeks, and we've already hit 10,000 views. And the subscriber base just continues to grow by the hour. It's absolutely impressive, but I am having the time of my life. I wish that sometimes when I'm behind this mic and I'm telling you guys these stories, that I wish I could see each and every one of you in the face, to see your reactions of some of the things that I tell you about. But I have to use my imagination for that. But until I see you again next week, do not forget to caffeinate and conquer. You knew I was going to tell you that before I let you go. But I'll see you again right here behind this big old mic next week, and have a great day. Bye-bye.